Assalamu alaikum. My name is Najwa Devi. I'm cake decadence. I started this company 7 years ago. I'm studying to be a pastry chef. I have 3 boys. In collaboration with Cook Halal, I'll be making dairy-free profiteroles. To make these dairy-free profiteroles, you will need icing sugar, lemon, water, edible gel, salt, flour, coconut butter, water, rind of a lemon, almond milk, sugar, eggs, corn flour and cake flour and edible flowers. The first step, we'll need a cup of water, a half a cup of coconut butter, a cup of flour, a pinch of salt, and 1 cup of eggs. We will first add our water, and our coconut butter. This we need to boil. The coconut butter and water needs to come to a rolling boil. Then we'll add our flour, 1 cup of flour to this, and pinch of salt. Now our coconut butter and water is boiling. It needs to be a rolling boil. Then we're going to add our pinch of salt to our flour, 1 cup of flour. And we're going to add our flour to this rolling boil and stir it continuously till it forms a round ball. And this is what we want, a round ball. And this is now called a panade. We need to let this cool down before we add our cup of eggs. We don't want the eggs to cook into our flour mixture. So once that is ready, we'll beat this into the panade. Now panade has cooled down to room temperature. We'll be mixing this with our cup of eggs. And let's get this cool panade into the mixer. Your cup of eggs you'll whisk a little bit and slowly add it to your panade. You want a nice, smooth, shiny texture. And we'll just mix this until we get the smooth texture that we need. Once it's nice and glossy, we'll add this to a piping bag and pipe our profiteroles on a baking tray. I like using the salt pack because you don't have to add any flour or oil to it. It will just peel off once it's baked. So you can just scoop this into your piping bag. And your pipe. We don't want to pipe it too big because they do puff up. The water in the panade creates steam, and this causes puffing. And we'll add to that steam. I'll show you what to do before we put it in the oven. We're going to add to the steam. So what we'll do is we're going to sprinkle water onto these profiteroles, and this will help with the puffing process. You can also use a spray gun and spray the walls of your oven, and that will also create steam, or put an ice tray at the bottom of your oven, and that will also create steam. And we'll put it into a preheated oven of 200 degrees for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, we'll turn it down to 180 degrees and bake it for a further 15 minutes. And now we'll be making our lemon infused creme pat. We'll need a pot, 1 cup of almond milk, 2 lemon peels and an orange peel. You can add this into your almond milk. You will only peel this part, the white part we don't add in, that is pith, and that makes it quite bitter. And we don't want that taste in our creme pat. This we'll add, and we'll heat this up and let it infuse for a few minutes. While that is on the stove, we're going to use 3 eggs. We're going to whisk 50 grams of sugar into our 3 egg yolks. Once this is nicely mixed, we will add our 15 grams of corn flour and 15 grams of cake flour. This is the thickening agent. And we'll just mix this together. Let's just check up on our almond milk and lemon rind. We just need to heat this a little bit. We don't want it to form the skin on top. So it's just infusing it for a few minutes. And once this is done, we're going to add it to our egg mixture. It has infused. We will slowly add it into our egg yolk mixture and whisk it a little bit. We don't want this to cook, so we need to mix it quite quickly. We'll add it in, all our mixture in. Once this is done, we're going to add it back onto the stove, and this will thicken the whole custard. So we're going to add our almond and egg mixture back into the pot, and we're going to add it back to the heat to thicken it. To infuse your almond milk and your lemon rind, you can do this overnight in cold milk, also works nicely. So we're going to add it back to the heat and just thicken it up. Creme pat is done, and this is the texture that we want for our dairy-free profiteroles. Once it's cooled down, we'll add it to a piping bag. So let's put this one side to cool down. Next, we're going to make the lemon glaze for the topping of our profiterole. So we'll need a cup of icing sugar, we need about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of lemon rind. Let's just first mix this. We don't want this texture too runny, and then we can add a little bit of water. Don't add too much at a time, add a teaspoon and stir this. Now I like to add a little bit of yellow edible gel, which gives a nice color to your glaze. Not too much of it. And you just stir it till it's nice and smooth. So you'll have a little bit of that lemon zest also in here. The longer it stands, the taste actually gets stronger with the lemony taste. And this is what we're looking for, this texture. Okay, now that the pastries are done, we'll take it out of the oven. Pierce each one with a hole. We'll be piercing a hole in each one, and this is where we'll be piping our creme pat. Make sure the hole is big enough to insert your piping bag. My cream pat I've added into a piping bag that's nice and cool, and we'll basically pipe each cream pat. Once it oozes out, then you know the puff is full. And you just add a little bit of cream pat into each puff. And once this is done, we're going to add our glaze on top. We'll need a palette knife, and you can just nicely put a little bit of glaze on top. You can also melt dairy-free chocolate and add this as a topping, or you can simply dust icing sugar on top if you don't like the sweetness. Once this is done, we'll add our edible flowers to our choux pastry. And here we have our decorated choux pastries with orange and lemon glaze. These are end product of our dairy-free profiteroles. They are nice to serve for any celebration, especially for Eid coming up, for your iftar table, for special guests as a centerpiece for your next party. You can find myself, Najwa, at Cake Decadence on Instagram under Cake Decadence Plus Desserts, and the recipe can be found on cookhalal.com. From my home to your home, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.